All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NBA pre-lock show. We are back at it. I'll be the first to say yesterday was not my best day. Madness, I know you had some technical difficulties too. It wasn't the best start, but we're going to have a good finish. So let's go ahead and look at today's 10-game slate. I know Madness and B-Dub, you already have some sneaky plays that y'all are looking at. We'll go game by game and just kind of talk through some of the players that we're looking at. We'll show those of you who are DFS Army members how and some of the changes that we're making in the DS that are going to help make guys show up. And then, we'll make it happen. At the end of the show, probably towards the last 10 to 15 minutes, we'll just answer your questions and go from there. But Madness, I know you are a single entry guy. You also are part of the Sharp app. You do a lot for DFS Army and the Sharp app. I don't know how you do it all, but how are you feeling about the slate, man?
I like it. A lot different than the 2-game slate last night, a little more overbearing, but hey, basketball's back. Couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's just more basketball for us to watch. I can't be mad about it. What about you, Brandon? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, same here. I'm excited about tonight. Definitely ready to put last night behind us. Big slates like this can seem a bit intimidating, but I love how ownership is kind of spread out, and I think we can find some good spots to get some leverage on tonight.
All right. And it's good to see everybody in the chat. A lot of OGs, a lot of goats. I see you, Tattoo. Good to see y'all. Let's jump into it. Too many games to waste time. We have the Pacers going up against the Pistons. I feel like this could be a game that's going a little overlooked. But when it comes to injury news, there's not too much here. We have Isaiah Jackson, but that doesn't really change or impact too much for me. Madness, I'll start with you. Do you like anyone from the Pacers tonight?
Not as much as I thought I would. Last season they're running and gunning, and I think the prices have kind of caught up to them. It is a good matchup. Pistons aren't playing any defense. Turner and Siakam are interesting. I think there's better options than Halliburton in that price range.
Yeah. They did not give us a discount there.
No. And, considering how he finished last season, he went on a tear to start the season. Hopefully he's healthy. The assists come back. But other than him, I think Wiseman makes sense if you want to get scary in a MME type play. There's a chance he sees the backup 5 run with Isaiah Jackson out, or they just go small with Obi Toppin, but not a whole lot from the Pacers for me.
Cool. What about you, Brandon? Anyone stand out for you here?
Yeah, same here. Like when before I saw the prices, I saw the game total and I was like, hell yeah, I know I'm going to attack this game for sure. And then kind of like what Madness said, I feel like everybody's kind of priced appropriately. So no one is really standing out here. If there was one guy I would want to go with, which I do have a little bit, it's Miles Turner. And I do have 1% McConnell, but he could potentially fall off. So
yeah,
I definitely don't hate the Miles Turner play at all.
Yeah, Miles Turner is showing up for me a little bit too, around 3%, but that's still me being under the field. Like you all are saying, I wish I had more exposure. Not wish, but I wanted to have more exposure originally, but just because of their price tags, it was really hard for me to get there. I don't think you're dumb if you play Siakam or Halliburton, but like you guys said, I just think there's better plays here. I do like the Pistons side of this game a little bit more, but Brandon, who do you like here?
So my main guy that I'm making sure I'm over the field on is Cade Cunningham. I do think he is a bit too cheap here in this kind of matchup. So I want to make sure I'm over the field on him. I don't mind some of these other guys like Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, Duran. I'm just kind of letting the DS decide where they go, but I'll be kind of around fill weight on those guys.
Yeah. Madness, I saw you get a little excited. Anyone else you like here?
Yeah, I do think the Pistons side is more interesting than the Pacers. Similar with B-Dub there. Cade's one of those guys in that Halliburton range where I would just rather play Cade. He looked great in the preseason, and I think he has a huge year. Tobias Harris, a guy I never really loved to play, but he gets away from Embiid dominating usage. I think he has a different role on this team. He's never a sexy option, but you get away from that usage monster. I think he has a nice season. He's fairly priced. So if I land on him, I'm fine with it. I'm not forcing him in by any means, but not huge on the big men, Stewart and Duran. Only other guy is probably Ivy. Not a guy I'm getting a ton of, but if he fits, he fits. Interesting GPP flare. I mean, the Pacers play fast. They want to push. So
Yeah. I think this is just a good matchup, and they're priced appropriately, unlike the Pacers. As of right now, I'm over the field on Harris, Cunningham. Tim Hardaway Jr. is someone that makes me nervous. I know he's been battling injuries for a bit, and he's streaky as all hell. And, you never feel good playing Tim Hardaway Jr., even when there's a lot of injuries on the Mavs. You still don't feel great about it. But new team, new place. I'm not expecting him to do too much, but at 4,500 and at low ownership, I'm willing to be at least double the field, and that's where I am right now. And then Ivy, he's shown up close to field weight, slightly under there, and that's about it for me. I do like this team, and I want exposure to them. All right, for the Nets going up against the Atlanta Hawks, this is a team I always hate to see because I just never love them. But Madness, what's your thought process here?
Yeah, they're ugly, man.
Yeah,
Cam Thomas, we know he's going to go out there and chuck. No more Mikal Bridges, so I guess that opens up some shots. Dennis Schroeder makes some sense at that price range. Nick Claxton dealing with a hamstring issue in the preseason. Maybe he's somewhat limited. I do have, current state could change. I do have Cam Johnson in my single entry right now. Do like him. Open shots with Mikal Bridges out, but great matchup against the Hawks too. So one guy, similar to the James Wiseman play, if you want to get crazy in a GPP, Zaire Williams, stone minimum. If you want to get off and we'll talk about it, Yabusele chalk. Maybe if he sees 20 plus minutes, it's kind of a big if, but if they want to truly tank, there you go.
Yeah, definitely at 3K, you could do worse. I don't disagree. Brandon, what's your thought process here?
Yeah, I love Cam Johnson as well. But behind Cam Thomas with Mikal gone, like Madness said, he should get a ton of shots up, and he's going to be a big part of this offense. And then I do like Zaire Williams as well. I'm playing single entry in 150, and at my 150, the DS is giving me, where did he go? Here he is, 12%. So I'm actually okay with that.
Did you boost him at all, or
nope.
Nope. I just have him at 1% naturally. I didn't do anything to him, and he's just showing up there. For me, Cam Johnson, I have around 19%. Brandon, I'm curious, in your GPPs, do you have more? I know you love him, so are you boosting him at all or no?
I put a 20% man on him just to get a little over the field. I like his price quite a bit too.
Yeah, and without Bridges, it's hard to get overly upset about any of these guys. I realize none of y'all mentioned Ben Simmons. Are y'all not buying into the offseason hype? No?
Nah.
Maybe down the road, but
yeah.
Night one, I'm not burning my money.
Yeah, I've done it before. I'm not doing it today. I want a 10-game slate. If it was a smaller slate, you could probably tempt me into it at this ownership. But on a 10-gamer, there's people who are lower owned and better spots, in my opinion. All right, next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks. This is a team that looks a little bit different without DeJounte Murray. Brandon, who are you liking here?
I really wanted to play Trae Young, but I just couldn't pull the trigger at that price. Kind of for the same reasons as Hallie. We have other studs on the slate that's a bit cheaper. I do like Trae this season, though, with DeJounte gone now. I think he kind of gets back to how he was before, and it's going to be kind of nice that we don't have to try to pick between which of those two are going to go off now. So he'll be somebody I'll be keeping an eye on throughout the season. But this is just one team I don't have too much interest in tonight. Everyone seems priced appropriately, and no one's really standing out to me.
Yeah, Madness, what are your thoughts here?
Similar boat. There is one guy I do want to take a stand on, and that's Jalen Johnson.
Okay.
It's tough, and I'm trying to make it work in single entry, but with the other plays, I'm kind of jamming in. It's tough to do. Like Beat Up said, no more DeJounte Murray. There's shots there. Elite matchup here. Who's going to stop him? So I like Jalen Johnson, but I even boosted him up to 41 points in the DS, and I ran 150, still only getting about 13%. I want to be more, but again, it's it's tough to do with the power forwards we have today. So
yeah,
I want to make it happen, but he's really the only guy. Trae Young, I do like, but point guard's deep today.
yeah.
I get
miss
it.
8K Trae.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Jalen Johnson and pretty much nothing for me.
Yeah. DeAndre Hunter is showing up around field weight exposure, so he's going to be in a few of my lines. Let's see. Anybody else peeping through? What is it? Ricochet? How do you say his name? The rookie?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ricochet. He's showing up in about like 2 to 3% of my lines, somewhere around field weight there. Again, I'm not trying to get too cute with these rookies, but he's showing up. I'll trust the DS to not force him out or anything like that.
I don't hate it with small forward. It's not the best position, so
Yeah,
I don't hate
it didn't seem too crazy. All right, next up we have the Cavs going up against the Raptors, who have already pretty much given up this season. Madness, who stands out for you here? If anybody.
Maybe Karis LeVert, no Max Strus in this one, and no Max Strus for probably a little bit here, but I get it if you want to go to like a Mobley, but it's pretty much LeVert and probably not a ton of LeVert either. I mean, Mitchell and Garland being back, they're fully healthy other than Strus, and he's not a big usage guy anyway. He's just going to shoot. So I also don't love when these 6 men like LeVert get vaulted in the starting lineup. They lose that usage in the second unit. They got to share shots with the Mitchells of the world, the Garlands of the world. So if you land on LeVert, I'm good with it, but he's really the only guy that I'm getting anything of.
Yeah, Phil, you're already talking about it. B-Dub, I know your guy.
I was just smiling because I saw Phil's comment, and he's right. I was going to say, if y'all remember from last season, Donovan Mitchell was my guy. So 6% ownership, $8,700. I got it. I got to play him. I got to. He's too cheap for his upside. He could easily put up 50 to 60 DK points here. So that's my main focus here. I would be okay if anyone else feeling like Allen or Mobley, but I'm actually not getting any exposure to anyone else, so yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and then I have a little bit of exposure to Mobley, but I'm still significantly under the field, so nothing too crazy, unfortunately. But I like the Donovan Mitchell call. I'll force some exposure to him to make sure he shows up, because there was a time when I used to not follow you on that, and it always hurt me. So now I just do it, so it's fine. All right. Next up, we have the Raptors going up against the Cavs. We know this Cavs defense is one that we typically don't like to pick on, but did anyone stand out for y'all? I mean, besides the obvious, but Brandon, I'll go right back to you. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I think the obvious is Emmanuel Quickly. His price dropped significantly from where it was last season. So 7,200 is just way too cheap for what he does on this team. So he will be a core play, I think, for most of us, if not all. And then another guy I'm kind of on the fence about, but Scotty Barnes. We've seen him go crazy many games last season. I don't think 8,900 is too high for what he's done last season. So if I do play him, I'll probably make sure I'm around field weight, probably like 10%.
What are your thoughts here, Madness?
Yeah, quickly he's going to be in there. No RJ Barrett. They sold a bunch of people last year. No Bruce Brown. Not a big usage guy, but Quickly's one of the first few that you should be starting lineups with. I do like Scotty Barnes quite a bit. Between him and Quickly, I would expect them to have a majority of the usage in this offense. Barnes can fill it up too. Scoring, assists, rebounds, he can do it all. So like Barnes as a leverage play. What do we have for his ownership right now?
11%.
11%. Yeah, I don't mind being over on that one. And then I do have some interest in Jakob Poeltl. No Kelly Olynyk, so he's not going to have a ton of competition behind him. He might just have to play 30, 35 minutes. Not a good matchup. Don't get me wrong. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley down there. But 2% owned. Don't mind being 10%-ish. So I like Jakob Poeltl. Center is extremely deep as well, so it makes it tough. But like him as a leverage play.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think for me, everything in me wanted to just uncheck Scotty Barnes, but he's done well in this matchup before against a healthy Cavs team. So it's hard for me to argue with results. And so I have around like 9% ownership currently, slightly under the field, nothing crazy. And then Quickly is a core play for better or worse. I don't love it, but I can't think of a good enough reason to not do it. So here we are. Next up, we have the Magic going up against the Heat. This is the lowest game total on the slate. Ultimately, not a game I got really very much exposure to at all. Is this a pass for y'all, or is there anyone in this game that you all want to talk about? Madness?
I don't have anyone in this one. It's the lowest implied total by like 14 points.
Yeah.
I got nothing on this one.
Brandon?
Yeah, this game feels like it's going to be one of those slow-paced, ugly games, and just not somewhere I really want to focus on. I will say I am getting a little bit of a Paolo, not quite at 11%, but pretty close, like 6-7%. So don't mind some shots if you did want to play someone from here. But yeah, overall, this game is just kind of meh.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have around like 7-8% Paolo. Not overly excited about it, but it wouldn't shock me if at least one player from this game is able to reach value. Just not a game that you want to focus on too much. I never say you need to completely uncheck a game, but just want to make sure you're not getting too much exposure here. If you're getting 3 to 4 guys from this game, you should reevaluate what you're doing. Next up, we have the Bucks going up against the Sixers. This is the game of the slate, primetime TV. Madness, who are you looking at here?
Yeah, no Chris Middleton for the Bucks. So expect. I kind of thought it'd be Pat Connaughton getting the start. It sounds like it'll probably be Taurean Prince, which I'm not. You're not playing Taurean Prince on a 10-game slate. Love the man to my shoulder here. Love Giannis tonight.
Oh God,
he's overpriced. I get it, but I think that keeps his ownership down. I just don't know how they stop him. Andre Drummond's not stopping him. Embiid's a good defender. They don't have Paul George to stop him. Throw Yabusele at him, see what happens. I just don't think they stop him.
I forgot your bias was strong here with the Bucks. I forgot Milwaukee's strong. I forgot about that piece. Brandon, what are your thoughts here?
I don't hate the Giannis play. I'm not going to force him in or anything, but kind of what Manny said, there's not anyone who can stop him here. And we do have some cheap pieces to where we can make him fit in line. So I don't hate the play at all, but this is another team I'm not really on tonight.
Yeah, kind of like what you're saying, Brandon. I'm just trusting the DS here. Giannis is showing up around 7% for me. I'll take that. So if he goes off, I at least have some lines competing, but not going to force it. Bobby Portis is showing up in one line. Yeah, don't love it, but 1% is not going to kill me. I'm not going to X him out, anything like that. So no one's really standing out for me too much where I'm going to force exposure to him. If Lillard was a little bit cheaper, I could try and make an argument for it, but at 9,400, that's ridiculous to me. So I'm not going to do that. For the Sixers going up against the Bucks, Brandon, any of these guys stand out for you?
Yep. Gershon is going to be a core play for me at a 3K flat. Embiid is out, and then he should see minutes behind Drummond, or could possibly play alongside Drummond at the 4 too. So I think he sees a decent amount of minutes, and he was really impressive in the Olympics, and someone I think will smash his price tag easily. So I'll be significantly over the field on him.
Manis, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, so I think they use Yabusele as a Giannis stopper. I mean, similar to Grant Williams of the world, the PJ Tuckers of the world. He showed he can be physical in the Olympics. I mean, he's been played out of the league before, but 3K, he helps make lineups work. So I do have him in my single entry right now. Do like Tyreek's easy for me to say. Tyreek's Maxey quite a bit. 35.2% usage rate and a 1.26 fantasy point per minute without Embiid last season. No Tobias anymore. They do have Oubre out there, and he kind of kills the Bucks. I'm not gonna lie. So I do like Tyrese Maxey. And then Andre Drummond's interesting. They did a good job of kind of pricing him up before the slate came out. If he was his normal 4K, he'd be massive chalk on this slate. So I think the 7K price tag keeps his ownership down quite a bit. And I do think he can pay that off. I mean, he can drop a 50 burger any night. Only issue I do get concerned with, number one, the position. It's a deep position. And can he stay out of foul trouble against Giannis? is my only qualm about him. But do like Drummond, do like Maxey and Yabusele. Oubre, he's interesting to me. If you land on him, you land on him. But another guy that can kind of go out there and hit some threes and do some stuff, but not a guy I'm going crazy on.
Yeah, I mean, I am forcing exposure to some of these players in this game because I want to see them show up a bit more. How much Yabusele is too much, Brandon? How much do you have?
80% right now.
80%. Okay, never mind. I don't know. I get nervous about foul trouble because he is so physical, but he's 3K, so he should be fine. But foul trouble does concern me with him. I'm still going to play him. Right now, he's showing up in about 50% of my lines, but as I continue to force in more studs, I can see that changing. So I understand the 80%, especially if you are paying up a lot more and not playing the mid-range. Maxey is a guy I know, Matt, as you mentioned him, he's really the guy who got me on the trend of playing guards against the Bucks for a bit. We know Lillard isn't the best defender, and so Maxey should have a pretty strong spot here. And then Andre Drummond, we've seen this happen time and time again. If Embiid's not there, I just play him. And so I'm double the field on him, and it's pretty much that simple for me. Kelly O, let me see. Is he showing up at all for me? At this point, he is showing up in not a lot of my lines. Are you seeing Kelly O show up a lot for you, Brandon? No?
No, Kelly O. I am getting a little bit of KJ Martin, though.
Okay, I'm glad you said it because I was embarrassed to say that out loud.
Yeah.
So fair. I am too. I'm around like 8%. That's not crazy, but it's still not a name you should feel good about by any means. So yeah, we like the Sixers tonight. I think they make a lot of sense. All right. Two ugly teams going up against each other. We have a relatively healthy Pacers or Hornets team going up against the Rockets. We know the Rockets have been pretty good defensively here, at least last season. What are your thoughts here, Madness?
Yeah, quite a bit of Nick Richards. He should get the start with Mark Williams out. He's just underpriced at 4K. He makes things work. He's about a fantasy point per minute guy without Mark Williams out there. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a sexy play by any means, but a nice value play. And then the other guy is LaMelo Ball, another guy that's underpriced. He's coming. So my only issue with him is first game since end of January. So who knows if he's limited, even if they don't come out and say it. But he's underpriced. We're used to seeing him upper 9Ks, even 10K. So at 8,800, definitely get it if you want to go there.
Yeah. Brandon, anyone else stand out for you?
No, just those two guys that Matt has mentioned. LaMelo's actually a core play for me tonight. It's one of my favorite matchups on the slate. He is underpriced and he has double upside, so I'll be way over on him. And then Nick Richards just too cheap for the role he's going to be in. Williams is out, so easy play there. Not really on anyone else here.
Yeah, Richards makes a ton of sense. LaMelo, I thought 16% was a little strong, but I see you as a core play. All right, man. That makes me feel a little bit better about it. The other guys like Bridges and Miller just feel like a little bit too thin of a play on this slate with them not having any injuries at that position. Makes it hard for me to get there. For the Rockets going up against this Hornets team, who do you like, Brandon? Anyone stand out for you?
Yep. So two guys I'm forcing in is Fred VanVleet. Another guy I feel is too cheap. We've seen his upside quite a bit last season. Another guy who can put up 50 to 60 DraftKings points, and we know we can attack anywhere against the Hornets. I don't think they'll be any better defensively this year, of course. I'm willing to go over on him. And then Şengün as well. He's looking to come back from that pretty nasty injury last season, but he seems to be pretty healthy. So I'm willing to take a shot on him. And we preach it all the time in the past, bigs against the Hornets. So I think he eats here tonight.
Yep. Madness, anyone else stand out for you?
No, it's Şengün for me. He's another guy I want to take a stand on. I'm having trouble doing it with current roster construction, but like B-Dub said, centers against the Hornets.
Yeah, we were
tradition like any other.
Yeah, it's one of those feel goods. It's like, okay, we're in basketball season again. Can play centers against the Hornets. I have Şengün as a leverage play for me right now. It's just that simple for me. When everyone else is paying down at a position, I can pay up, and then the DS will figure out how to make that work. I know you're talking about lineup construction madness, and I have no idea how to make that work from a lineup construction standpoint, but that's what the DS is here for. All right. And then let's see. And then I know you mentioned Fred VanVleet. I'm right around field weight on him too, Brandon. So it makes me feel a little bit better about that. And then that's pretty much it for the Rockets. I don't think those are bad calls at all. For the Bulls going up against the Pelicans, Brandon, who stands out for you here, if anybody?
This was a team I was kind of interested in this season with DeRozan gone, but tonight, especially on a slate this size, no one just really seems exciting to play to me. I am taking a shot on one guy, though, however, and that's Vucevic. I kind of mentioned it in our Discord a bit earlier, but the Pelicans are planning on playing Herb Jones at the 5 this season, so I think that makes Vooch a very sneaky play tonight and should have no issues in the paint tonight, I would say.
Damn it. I thought I was getting away without playing any Bulls, but that makes too much sense. It's almost embarrassing to see like Vucevic next to Herb Jones. I can't wait to see that. Madness, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of Vooch currently, but I do think that's interesting. I mean,
yeah,
he should be able to dominate a small ball lineup. Only other guy I do have interest in, and it's not one I would go too crazy on, but I do think Josh Giddey is interesting. Gets away from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here. They went out and got him. They could have gotten anything they wanted for Alex Caruso. They wanted Josh Giddey, so you got to think they have a plan for him. Without SGA last season, he was about 1.16 fantasy points per minute. He can do it all: score, assist, rebound. Don't hate it, and probably someone I would try to get over the field on. Again, only point guard eligible, so it can be tough, but 7,100 also is tough. But I do think he has that triple-double upside if the cards are playing right for him, but not like he's void of usage hogs. You got Levine out there, you got White out there, and Vucevic, but I do think they have a little cut out for him.
I kind of hate you, Madness, for making me even think about playing Giddey, because you're right. Like, the situation and spot makes sense. It's so logical. I am just biased as all hell because he's burned me too many times. And that's not a good way to play DFS. You should think about it more logically. I'm just not doing it. But I get it. I hear you. I like the Pelicans side of this game, though, going up against a not great Bulls team. Madness, who stands out for you here?
Yeah, so we just got word Zion Williamson is out. So
great.
That is going to change quite a bit.
Day one, well, day two, but this is the first real slate.
So, I mean, guys like DeJounte Murray, if he does play, he was questionable coming in with personal reasons. CJ McCollum sees a nice boost. I would think maybe they move Herb Jones to the 4 and start Daniel Tice, who is interesting at 4K. Looking at a pivot there for Nick Richards if you do want to get a little different. Brandon Ingram sees a boost as well, but that is certainly news. Keep an eye out for DeJounte Murray. I'll be dropping it in the Discord once I get it.
Yeah, that's huge. Ideally, DeJounte plays here because I do want some exposure to him tonight. CJ McCollum is the chalky play. I like him a lot too, though, at 6,900. He's really just too cheap for this matchup with Zion out. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to this team, and as we continue to get news, that's just going to keep on ticking up. So, yeah, the Pelicans are definitely on the way up with that Zion news. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies going up against the Utah Jazz. Brandon, who do you like here?
So the obvious play, of course, Brandon Clark, 3,700, just too cheap. Should see over 20 minutes. So another core play there. I do want to play a little bit of Ja, just because I like the matchup. So I will be around fill weight on him. And then let me see if I'm getting anyone else. I do have a little bit of Aldama and Pippen Jr. as well. I'll be around fill weight on them. Yep. But yeah, Brandon Clark and Ja are my two focal points here.
What are you thinking about Madness here?
Yep, Brandon Clark. All the Brandon Clark It sucks. I kind of wanted him to have par 4 eligibility, but it is what it is. Do like Ja Morant. Hey, we can try.
We can.
But
we can. You're not wrong.
Ja Morant,
yeah.
he's going to be in play. I don't currently have him in single entry. Let me see if I had him in 150 at all. I'm not playing 150, but I always do run the DS with 150 just to kind of gauge exposure. Don't have
That's smart.
5%, but it's Brandon Clark and pretty much nothing else for me. I do get Desmond Bane. I just worry he loses too much usage with Ja Morant in there. And then Zach Edey.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I wanted to take the shot, but we just have too many center plays. Like, if we had less, I would be so down. But there's just so many viable center plays. I'm like, I can't play everybody, but I do like the play. For me, I did force exposure to Ja, and then Brandon Clark's a core play, and that's pretty much it for me. And then, like you mentioned, Madness, Bane is showing up in 1% of my lines. Brandon, who do you like for the Jazz?
Two guys mainly. That's Colin Sexton and Markkanen. Both of those guys have the highest upside on this team and just way too cheap. So I'll be over the field on both of those guys.
Yeah. Markkanen's a core play for me right now, too. So is Sexton. So we'll see how things will change with the Zion news. But they're really the only two guys showing up for me. A little bit of Taylor Hendricks, but only 2%. Not enough for me to X him out or anything. Madness, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Colin Sexton, he's $1,000 too cheap. Do wish he had point guard eligibility, but again, can't have everything. But do like Lauri Markkanen as well. Those are kind of the main guys for me. Maybe I'm not even saying it. No.
Are you gonna say Clarkson?
Walker Kessler, but we don't need to.
Oh. Oh, I don't even want to think about Kessler. He's another guy. I'm just like, he's almost dead to me until there's an injury. The Suns going up against the Clippers. Madness, who stands out for you here? If anybody.
You can get to Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal any night you want. The issue is good luck predicting who has the big night. They're all priced kind of where they should be. I do think Yusuf Nurkic is interesting. So with Coach Bud now there, and we saw him do it with Brook Lopez, he's kind of forcing Nurkic to learn how to shoot the three. He did it in the preseason. He's been doing it all offseason. So be interesting to see how that works out. If that does come, I mean, you do get the 3-point bonus on DraftKings. I think it's an interesting note. Probably not someone I'm forcing in, but I'll have exposure just because I do think Bud will hammer that home and get him to shoot those threes. But not a whole lot from me. Durant, Booker, Beal, if you land on him, I'm fine with it.
Brandon, anyone stand out for you here?
Not really. I usually like to try to pick between KD and Booker, but with the slate just so massive, this is just another spot where I kind of left off because, I mean, can't really play everybody, so I'm just trying to be selective. But if I were to pick one, it'd probably be KD at that price, 8,600.
Yeah, the price tag on KD is interesting. I do typically like to pick one of the two, and I landed on Booker. I just like the matchup a bit more, but the price tag is tough, and we know Booker can be a bit streaky as well. So I don't feel great about it, but I am going to be over the field on him. Next up, we have the Clippers. This team is looking rough these days. But did anyone stand out for you, Brandon, here?
Mainly just James Harden. Paul George is gone, and Kawhi is out for who knows how long. So he should get all the usage here, and I'm willing to play him tonight. So he's the only guy I'm really focusing on tonight.
Are you looking at Harden at all, Madness, or no?
Yeah, he's a core for me. I love James Harden here. No, like B-Dub said, no Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard. They severely lack playmakers on this offense. I just think he does it all. He's slightly underpriced. I don't mind the matchup. Love me some James Harden here.
Yeah. Is the ownership surprising you guys at all on like a guy like Norman Powell?
He's a guy I landed on a little bit just because of that small forward eligibility. I did pivot to Cam Johnson that we already talked about. The other guy I forgot to mention, Kevin Porter Jr. is extremely interesting to me. Like I said with James Harden, they don't have playmakers. We know Porter Jr. can get a bucket walking out of bed. So we know we've seen him at 7, 8K before. He's not going to have the same role in this offense, and he'll come off the bench, I would assume. But I think he's interesting at the very least.
Yeah, he's one of those players I'm keeping an eye out for. Like, I want to see how they kind of utilize him a little bit, but I don't think it's bad to be early. Do you have any thoughts on Porter Jr., Brandon?
I don't mind the shot on him. The DS is actually giving me a little bit, only 3%, but I don't hate it.
And last game on the slate, we have the Warriors going up against the Trailblazers. Madness, who stands out for you for the Warriors, if anybody?
This is a bad game to end on. I have nobody in this game.
I have like 2% Steph, but that ownership at 12% is wild.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I am going to play some Steph at 8,500. I mean, Portland is just a horrible team, and I wouldn't be surprised if he smashed here. But overall, this game is just kind of gross, I would say.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the other side of it. The Trailblazers. Anyone you like here, Brandon?
I know both of us usually like taking shots on Ayton, but I mean, center is just way too deep tonight, so probably going to skip over that. So I won't have any exposure to this team.
Yeah, I have like 4% exposure to Grant, but that's it. Nothing crazy. Anyone you like, Madness?
I got nothing.
Yeah.
I don't like
like
this
you
team.
said, really like depressing game to end on. Just not a fun one. But that's why we have questions at the end of the show, just to kind of brighten things up after the ugly last game of the slate. Let's see. Mr. 5 said, thoughts on Jalen Smith or Patrick Williams? Brandon, you think about either of those players today?
No, we have better value pieces, so I'm not really getting there tonight.
Did you, Madness, look at those guys?
Only guy that I could see is Jalen Smith. He probably gets the backup 5 run to Vucevic, but pretty thin. He does have power forward eligibility, which helps. But yeah, not really there for me.
Okay, I get it. Let's see. Over on Clark.
Yes.
Madness, you're our props guy, but I guess you're fine.
Oh, he means points wise. Let me see what it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I have 98%. Is that too much?
I was gonna say, just he's the first guy in my lineup.
Yeah, I have a crap
points prop.
Mr. 5 said Ingram Knight, no Zion. Yeah,
hey.
I mean, I'm gonna have a lot of Ingram. I have to rerun after the show, but I can give you exact exposures on the Discord once we're done. For those of you who are not DFS Army members, link in the description. Madness, what's your promo code?
I don't even know.
Okay, use BDUB, BDUBB for a 10% discount for your membership here at DFS Army to become a domination, to use the domination station. Don't become it. Be a part of the Discord. Be able to see kind of like what our leverage plays are, what we're actually doing. We give more specific information in the Discord when people ask. Maxi, I agree, Mr. 5. Which games are we focusing on stacking? JM, good to see you, man. Madness, what are your thoughts here? Do you have a game you're really focusing on stacking?
I don't stack a ton in the NBA. If I'm looking at it, I think it's Milwaukee, Philly. There's the value there. I think it's Philly because you can play Giannis, you can play Yabusele, Maxey, Gary Trent if you want to throw him in there, and then Drummond. I think that's a fine stack if you want to get crazy.
Yeah, and I think your answer would probably be similar, Brandon. Like, we don't really focus on stacking in particular for NBA.
Yep.
OG, what's up, man? He said, can you explain what you mean when you have a core play regarding the field? I know you're not locking them, but I would like a better understanding for a dummy like me. Don't say that, OG. That hurts. Madness, what are your thoughts, though? Like, what do you mean when you say core play?
Yeah, so it's not a lock unless you want to just completely take a stand. So what I'll do is I'll go into the DS and put a ceiling projection on them. We have that ceiling projection column right next to the fantasy points. And more often than not, it forces them in there. Now, if you like Yabusele, I could see him being a core play for me just because of the value he provides. But he's a guy where I would probably max 80% or so because he's not a big usage guy. He's going to be out there for his size and his defense, but the minutes should probably be there. So not locks, but I will bump their projection and let the DS do what it does.
Yeah, and I think Brandon, your core plays are like your top 4 in ownership. Mine's my top 5. Just the guys I have the most exposure to on the slate. Rodno, any Scoot love? Oh
Not
God,
tonight.
are we missing something?
He'll be coming off
I'm
a
not
bench.
looking
I
at
can't see it.
Scoot. Maybe on a 2-game slate or a really soft matchup, but not for me today, man. Darth Pasta, what's up, man? Said ABC, too expensive on FanDuel at 11,600. He's 1,800 more than the next dude. Get the matchup and upside, but he is priced too high for MME. But is he priced too high? Madness, this is your guy. So I'll let you answer this question.
So I don't think there's a price that's too high on Giannis. Unless you're talking like 13,000. He's gonna do it all. I just don't know who stops him. I honestly do not know who stops him. Unless Yabusele comes out of nowhere.
You can, like, I say that every slate is like, who's gonna stop Giannis? You know, because like, there's not really anybody who can stop him. So like, I don't disagree. But yeah, it is a tough call on FanDuel, especially when he's more expensive. I don't like it as much. But what do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, he's too pricey for me on a slate like tonight, where you have guys who have maybe not the same upside. Because when Giannis smashes, he's on another level. But we do have some other studs on the slate that can get pretty close to him, if not surpass him, if he just kind of has a average game. So I'd just rather go elsewhere tonight.
Yeah, I was going to force Giannis in before the Zion news but now with Zion out, I'm able to get some more balanced lineups that I like a little bit more. But this is totally going to end up being one of those situations where it's like Madness was right and everyone's celebrating in the Discord. And I'm like, yeah, I was against that. And I'm sitting on the sideline. Bronco, what's up, man? Said in a 20 max, how much Booker will you have? For me, let's look at his ownership. And I can just tell you what I would have for a 20 max. So he's at 1% ownership. You can have him in 1 to 2 lines, and that's enough. You don't need to go too crazy with him because there's a relatively high likelihood he doesn't come through for us. He's more of a dart throw, hoping he gets hot tonight like Tatum did yesterday. Who's going to start for Zion? Do we have a starting lineup here yet, guys? I doubt it.
Not that I've seen. We do have DeJounte Murray is probable, so that helps. But my thinking is they start Jones at the 4 and Tice at the 5.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think that's also probably most likely, but I don't really have a clue, to be honest with you. I think Jones is at the 5 because, Zion is Zion. And so I think that prediction of him pivoting to the 4 makes a ton of sense. Quickly at 26% or Cam Thomas at 2% on FanDuel at the same price. What are your thoughts here, Brandon?
I prefer Quickly, but if it's a large field tourney, I don't hate getting different and going Cam Thomas because he's pretty much going to be their offense. So,
yeah, what do you think, Madness?
I think it depends on the rest of your lineup. If you have a chalky lineup, I think Cam Thomas makes perfect pivot off of Quickly. If you catch him on the right night, Cam Thomas can go out there and drop 40 real life points. It's a good matchup against the Hawks, so I don't hate it.
Yeah. For me, I like Quickly more than Thomas because of his price tag. But at FanDuel, with them being the same price, I would lean Thomas just because of the leverage when it comes to ownership. So I think you're thinking about it the right way. At the end of the day, Quickly's more consistent, but Cam Thomas is going to be chucking like we've been saying. So I don't hate that at all.
Much better matchup too.
Yeah, matchup's not bad. Best core center and point guard. Madness, I'll start with you. Who do you like? Like, who's your favorite center and favorite point guard on the slate?
So I think center, you're probably looking at Brandon Clark.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first guy in my lineup. You could go Nick Richards in that spot too. It's nice on DraftKings playing both. Get it done with. Point guard, it's James Harden for me.
Okay. What about you, Brandon?
Brandon Clark for me as well, and LaMelo Ball for point guard.
Yeah, I'll just cheat and say Clark and Quickly. But if you want a point guard that's actually not just like a value play, it's Ball then Harden for me in that order. Any love for Clowney? Madness, I think it was you who touched on Clowney for a little bit there. What are your thoughts on him?
So Nick Claxton, we did get news that he's going to have his minutes limited. Kind of what I thought coming off that hamstring injury in the preseason. So he could see that backup 5 run. What's his price? I would imagine he's 46.
Yeah, that's too pricey for me.
Yeah, I'm not playing him at 4,600.
Yeah, it's tough. I wish if he was cheaper, it'd be much easier of a play, but it's tight. Kevin said, "Hey, Madness, should I lock on the DK cores and build around it for single entry?" Good question, Kevin. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I certainly am. So if you want to go that route, do it. I do recommend, putting your own thoughts into it, but sure,
cool.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, Dixon, the blowouts hurt us early yesterday, man. Really early. Hopefully we're definitely going to see that today. So I can't even say hopefully we don't, but you know me, I don't play for blowouts, so we're gonna keep on keeping on. LeVert isn't starting. That's good. Yeah,
it kind of is.
Isn't starting. Yeah. Does that make you like LeVert a little bit more?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's still tough.
I mean,
for me.
he'll run the second unit. What is his price tag? 62. But, yeah, it's not the best price tag, but if you land on him, fine. Dean Wade will start for the Cavs. I'll just say no interest there.
Yeah. Dixon, we can talk about almost all of the Timberwolves who just looked scared to shoot. Like, did their coach tell them like they need to really make sure they have the perfect shot every time? Like, I've never seen Randall think that much about every shot he's taken. Anyway, that's a rant for another day. DS settings, Robert, honestly, we keep it pretty simple. We use tournament mode, projection, 1 unique, server, 150 lines, or however many you're doing, and then 0 randomization for me. I know, Brandon, that's pretty much your approach too. Madness, what is your approach? Like, do you do anything different there, or what would you like to do?
So when I'm building single entry, what I'll do is 150 lineups, 1 unique. Let me pull it up here just so I don't mess it up. I do throw a randomization of 5 on there just for a little bit of something, but most of the time, I mean, with NBA, projections are so much more accurate than they are for NFL and MLB. So trust the projections a bit more. From there, obviously, I'll manipulate the trailer pool. I'm used to logistics. Player pool, and then what I'll do is I'll hit run, see what I'm getting the most of, and kind of build from there. Kind of gives you what your exposures are looking like and who's going to be chalk for that night and that kind of thing. Helps you identify leverage as well. So,
yeah, I think that's a smart approach. Anthony, man, the NBA is becoming like hockey where I can't pronounce like any of these names anymore. Any love for Yabusele? What are your thoughts, Brandon? We touched on it already. Yeah.
Lots of love for him.
Yeah, lots of love. I have a ton. Madness, I think you have a lot too. I have 65% currently, and I don't have any intention on changing that. He's 3K. I know, Brandon, I think you mentioned you're at like 80, 85%. So yeah, we like him a lot. I love Cam Johnson. It's hard not to. I'm over the field, but he's another guy. You don't want to get overly excited. Travis said, any love for Edie on FanDuel at 5,300? What are your thoughts here, Madness? I know you touched on him already originally.
It's a lot better price on FanDuel. Yeah. He's $1,000 cheaper on FanDuel. So I don't hate it. But again, center is super deep. So you'll be different by playing him. I don't mind it. He's probably going to be a walking double-double this season. So I don't hate it.
Any thoughts for you, Brandon?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I love that price a lot more than over on DK. And I was going to say the same even in preseason. Like, he racks up on board. So don't hate that play at all.
Jordan, you are touching on someone who was almost a leverage play for me on this slate at 5,900. I do like Marcus Smart. He's someone we didn't touch on while we were just doing the run through. His ownership is what just kind of lowered my interest level and going too strong on him at 10%. His price tag is solid though, and we know he'll play consistent minutes. I do worry about his usage rate with Ja playing, but I still think this could be a solid sneaky spot for him. So I'm going to try my best to be around field weight. I think he's a solid play. Madness, B-Dub, it didn't look like y'all loved the Smart call, but what are y'all's thoughts?
I'm fine with it. If you land on him, I'm fine with it, but I'm similar to you. I worry about the Ja Morant usage.
Yep.
Who's your top 3 candidates to get a triple-double tonight? What a question, Dixon. Madness. Giannis. Okay, that's fair. B-Dub, do you have an answer?
I'll double down on LaMelo again.
I do like LaMelo there too.
Without Mark Williams, I think LaMelo makes a lot of sense. People forget he's tall. He can get those rebounds. Triple-double upside is definitely there. Jose, what's up? He said, who's your favorite center tonight? It's going to be the crew we keep talking about here. Brandon Clark, Nick Richards, and then Andre Drummond in that order for me. Jeremy Grant is popping in the model. What do you guys think about that? I didn't see him popping too much, but Brandon, do you have any thoughts on Grant?
I mean, I'm getting 3%, and that's probably where I'm going to keep him. So not a huge fan tonight.
Yeah, I don't see him popping too much, but I mean, Grant, I only look at 7 and 8x upside, so I don't really think too much about it. Anthony, we like Cade too, so yeah, I don't hate that play at all. So, y'all, I appreciate the support. Appreciate you all watching. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully celebrating a good 10-game slate. We already have some news breaking, and so we'll be in the Discord to help you all out there. But peace out. Good luck. I'll see y'all later.